panel dedicated to NFTs, which is super cool because we have an amazing NFT exhibition just right there. And there was an NFT auction last night, by the way. So I think probably some items were sold. So let me introduce your moderator for the next panel, Mr. Logan Ryan Golema. Please give him a round of applause. Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to pass you the mic and let you introduce your panelists then.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to Gulf Blockchain Week. The production value has been amazing. Thank you to George, Sebastiano, Olga for putting on this production. We've got a great panel here for NFTs and the future of marketplaces. Let's welcome up our panelists for discussion. We've got Elena Aster. Clap track. And we've got and Ed Prado. Let's bring him up. Right. Chasse, giving dads, coming on up. All right, he's got a hot mic. Try that out. All right. So I'm Logan Ryan Golema. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Haresoft. We are a government-facing Web3 company integrating the technology that we make into governments, enterprises that face governments, as well as helping anybody out that we meet that needs a little bit of information, from information to development. It's been a really long journey so far. Been in crypto for about a decade now, and have met some of the folks here just this weekend, as well as over the years. So we're going to go into Elena, can you tell us about yourself and how you found your place in the industry?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So my name is Elena Aster. I'm from traditional venture capital. So I studied aerospace research. I have I'm kind of nerd. So I studied in the Institute of Physics and Technology. And then my journey began on the last courses of the institute in VC, in startups. So I made 2 exits. First, we built marketplace for private tutors. We raised $80 million and made exit in 2015. So after that, we made an auction platform. So we sold art, and we sold it to Canadian investors. So my second education was MBA in arts and business. So I was involved in art long time ago. So 10 years, something like this. So first of all, when I saw this digital art, it wasn't like NFT, it was 5 years ago. I invested by myself in the platform. We made marketplace that combined digital artists with real physical wearables. So we made this necklace from the real gold with Swarovski, and we brought it to Monaco, to Dubai, so everybody was saying, wow. I was in Paris in Viva La Technology 3 years ago. We were speaking with the LVMH group, and they said also, wow. But there were no NFT, no marketplaces. So now the situation changed a lot. You know that OpenSea made such an insane volume revenue in August. So it started from 70 million in the beginning of the year. In August, it made $3.2 billion. So market volume is amazing. And now I think it's, so now, according to the marketplace in art, I think it's a little bit too late because there is giants like OpenSea, but I think that the next area of NFTs will be marketplaces of wearables. So bracelets, necklaces, bags with digital panels where you can put just this NFT art. I think that's will be the new trend in NFT. So yeah, I'm very excited because I bought some things on art blocks. It's generative art, and they are going really insane. So some of my investors made several million X less than in 6 months. So it's amazing when you buy for $23 piece of art, and he sold it for 1.3 million. And my another friend, he bought for $550 also one NFT art and sold not long time ago, like 2 weeks ago, for 2,100 Ethereum. So it's almost $7 million. It's really insane.
Yeah, it goes to show that the gains in the industry are massive, that you can come from any industry, love art, and find your place in NFTs.
Exactly. So my involvement in NFTs mostly in art. So I'm very I'm a fan of art, and I'm very involved in it. Now we're looking for NFT gaming. So we're looking to, I think that now it's like less than 50% of volume, but I think that next year, maybe even in the end of this year, NFT gaming will raise very high.
Yeah, it's definitely important that we encourage STEAM in the schools and educate as we move forward so that we can be inclusive of everybody. And especially Ed, your panel or your talk at Coin Agenda, I saw that. You were very informative, but for those that didn't see that over the weekend, do you want to touch on your journey so far and RAIR as it is?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. So I'm Ed Prado. I'm the CEO and co-founder for RAIR Technologies. We're based in the United States. And our focal point to date has been to create a platform that allows for NFTs to have a different dimension. As we all know right now in the art world, for instance, you see the picture and you can prove you own it, but that's all you can do with the picture. We've created a platform that you actually go in and prove you own the NFT, and then it unlocks an encrypted streaming content. So it can be a video, it can be a podcast, a song. So essentially what we've done is create a paywall for NFTs. And it's got an amazing sort of breadth of use cases. We're working with the standard art sort of genre where the artist actually opens up the NFT and then provides you with a video on how he made the piece of art, or a documentary on his lifetime. We're also working with a recent project up in LA, a big hip hop artist that's releasing an entire album as an NFT. And the way it operates is we sell the NFTs, our system validates that you're one of the owners of the NFT, and if you own it, we actually provide the access. It's not a download, it's an encrypted stream, and we use Apple's HLS to stream it to virtually any browser. So essentially what we are is we've created a Netflix in a box. You can put a movie in there, you can put any sort of content, and then have subscribers. And the whole vision behind this thing was to really narrow the gap between creators and viewers. So in the market, you have Spotify and Netflix and all sorts of intermediaries. And just like in a lot of the crypto movement where you're allowed to cut out a lot of the fat in the market and get closer to the creator, that's what RAIR allows you to do.
And do you find that at some point there'll be an exit to the community or an exit for Netflix to kind of buy you up or eat your lunch?
It's interesting. I think that Netflix is going to be very guarded on their content. We're actually working with some entities that are getting, that are in the Netflix sort of world and aren't being very well treated financially. It's sort of like if you're an author and you go to Amazon, they take like 90% of your revenue. So the idea is a lot of these people want to go and get the eyeballs at the big marketplaces, Amazon, Netflix, and then maybe do a subset of that where they can really make some money on a direct basis. So that's part of what we see. But as far as Netflix coming in and buying us, that'd be really anti sort of our vision. It's sort of like
right. We want to ensure that the community at large understands what the value is. And if you've known Kyle, if you've been in the industry for a long time, if you've heard of pretty much any project that's come out and has been successful, Kyle has been a part of it. You're a rock star in the space, but do you want to let the crowd know who you are, where you come from?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that, by the way. My name is Kyle Chasse. I'm from the States originally, but when I couldn't stand anymore, I left. I live in Thailand now. Master Ventures, I've been in crypto since 2012, full-time. Master Ventures is kind of our overarching company that kind of does a bunch of things underneath it. It's a venture studio. So we have that. We also have the investment arm, which runs a fund. And then we do a lot of incubations, accelerations. We also launched Paid Network in the beginning of the year, which was one of the most successful token launches since 2017 probably. And still to date has one of the most active social engagements, because one of the things that we're really good at is building communities and have a good relationship of KOLs and influencers, things like that. So Paid Network also has a launchpad, or actually several launchpads now. Apollo X is our NFT launchpad. Yeah, we just do a lot of things. And I also like spending a retarded amount of ETH on JPEGs.
Yeah, buy up the JPEGs. You get any gifts as well, or?
Yeah, gifts as well.
Yeah, gifts as well. And you know, if you've been around, I mean, since 2012 especially, it's been really hard. We've fought and kind of tooth and nail to be where we're at, especially on the state side in governance and government. And you also, Kyle, you run DAO House as well. I want to kind of segue into DAOs, what the community governance has been, and you know, Elena as well as Ed maybe have a discussion on how important it is for a small community to engage together on engaging the larger community as a whole in this type of structure. Yeah,
so the crypto community lives online. Communities are very prominent. But there is an aspect of why we all come here. We all come to be face-to-face, interact with people in the real world too, and that's important. So, you know, I notice that I have a problem communicating with people who are no-coiners or aren't in crypto. I just don't have anything to talk about with them, and I want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals, you know, who I can actually collaborate with and have insightful conversations about the things I care about, right? So I don't care about sports or reality TV or really politics outside of crypto politics. So House of DAO is actually something that we're creating as far as a governance kind of, long-term vision is to be fully autonomous and try to work on, with people who are doing sovereign state things, charter cities, where we can actually experiment with DAO structures as real-world governance structures to kind of break away from these centralized governments that we all live in now. I don't think I can say much more than that, being where we're located right now. But anyway, DAOs are cool, and we like to experiment with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed, Elena, do you have any mention?
Yeah, I'd actually kind of like to add the concept of, you know, bringing that back to the NFT world. And unfortunately, if you look at a lot of the projects that are out there right now, there's a lot that are not decentralized. And I think that's something to note. You know, at the end of the day, and few people know this, the Beeple piece of art that sold for almost $70 million is stored on AWS. So if Jeff Bezos ever wanted to take that down for whatever political reason, that you just bought the most expensive serial number hash in the world for $70 million because you wouldn't have access to that JPEG. So it's really important in the way we've built our platform. We've built it around IPFS. So we encrypt and store and save the content on IPFS. And that's not to say that we couldn't, you know, store it on AWS, but we're really trying to keep to the idea that we're creating NFTs that are going to last for the next 100 years. And the only way to do that is to work with some larger chains. We work with Ethereum and some level 2 chains, Polygon and Clayton and Binance. And I think that's all really important when you set up your NFT as a creator, that you're setting something up that's going to be around for the long run, and especially if you're an investor. So I think that the concept of decentralizing this asset class that's come along so quickly is really, really paramount.
And Elena, are you focusing this on your thesis for your venture studio? Or I guess what is your focus in terms of distributed and ransomware-proof data?
Yeah, my main focus is AI blockchain. But what I think that the future is of small communities. So when a person gets something really strong on GitHub, he always like building this community. So everything is transparent, and you should be like very open-minded, very transparent. If you build something really huge according to technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately important that the people that are involved actually care. that if you're buying this JPEG, if you're spending all this ETH, maybe you're just doing it to speculate. But really, what's important is that the people in your community, whether you're authenticating in a Discord or a Telegram, that those that can show up and want to show up, it's more of a human capital and resource allocation that you can include in your community as a whole. So the structure of small communities, like you said.
Yeah, it's very strong. It's very difficult to find a good allocation in a good project, so you should add additional value to this project. So you should be really involved in it.
It's no longer about, how many Twitter or Instagram followers you have, or even the, holders in your wallet, because you can just airdrop a JPEG. But it's about the engagement. It's about the people that show up, and especially with groups like Casper Labs, DevDAO, you're seeing that this actually works. The structure works at scale, and I'm hoping that the three of you are finding this as well. Segueing into really the accumulation of kind of how we got to NFTs, are you guys able to find that combating scams or even just scammers in communities is easier with your platforms, or do you find it easier with NFTs in your marketplaces?
Well, speaking for RAIR, we're working with just a handful of businesses and creators, so we really vet the content. It's not just a platform where the consumer uploads, mints, and sells. So we're able to really control, and we're probably less consumer facing in that we've got some very high-end business applications we're trying to build. So we really don't deal in the we haven't seen that, and we're not probably going to get exposed to that. But I will say this, we are very involved in looking at the NFT space, and every week we come up with different platforms that are scamming people, either telling you it's an NFT and there's no address, there's nothing. And it's basically internally ledgered. It's not even on chain. And then even worse, if you buy it, you could download the song or whatever and redistribute it. So it's like anything new that's making money. There's a lot of scammers.
Yeah, so you're essentially vetting those that can mint. Exactly. And as I'm a smart contract developer by trade, and it really there are functions and calls that you can set into these in motion where you have to approve people to mint. You have to essentially, it might not be permissionless, but it is at least safe for your users and your consumers. Kyle, with paid, with your Launchpad, you're doing a lot of vetting. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do all the vetting. So typically, anything that we launch, so we have got 2 Launchpads really that focus on different markets. Ignition is token Launchpad, and Apollo X is NFT Launchpad. Either way, we're not putting something on the Launchpad that we don't invest into first. So, they've gone through due diligence, and I'm quite confident that all these projects are going to do quite well. And then, so it's all vetted. Everything is vetted. We do KYB on all the projects first. Know your business, who the ultimate beneficiary is of every sale that happens on our platform. Adversely, we do things like KYC on all the user base that comes on our platform to prevent bots and things like that from participating. We got lottery models, staking models, whitelisting, things like that. We haven't had a problem in 9 months of operation so far as any type of scam or anything like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and that's really where kind of the rubber meets the road when you go to these conferences, is you can actually meet and make meetings with people in person, face-to-face, especially in the world that we live in now. It's really difficult, just to hop on a plane and meet somebody like you used to be able to pre-COVID. And Elena, are you finding this in your investments that you're able to vet as well?
I think, yeah. So we try to find these allocations, and sometimes, there were 2 opportunities among my investors that were just going down because at that moment, the team, the product, they were not rated 100%, and but it's one of the projects is 1 inch, so they went to lots of my investors, they canceled, and so you never know. Yeah, but I think that you should, of course, have this expertise, this MVPs, team stuff, just to make right decisions.
Absolutely. You just got to be careful out there. You don't want to get rugged. You don't want to, tell a friend about something that might not be vetted correctly.
Could I ask, how many of you guys are actually buying NFTs, trading, minting?
Yeah, raise the hands. Minting, buying,
Nice.
Wow.
And
How many of you guys are flipping, trying to make money? Yeah.
We got
all right,
people
some
that are-
honesty in there. What are you guys doing? All you who raised your hand before, but aren't flipping or making money. What are you doing? Holding? Do you like the art on your wall?
Is it going to be your holographic?
There you go. There's a true artist in the audience.
Your holographic metaverse body when we're all living in quantum fields and
Speaking of scams, like, how about we just talk about a couple ways that we can identify them? Just give me a good little education.
yeah, absolutely. Let's educate the crowd.
One of the things that I did that was a stupid mistake was sometimes you'll see you could, since everything's on blockchain, you can identify whose wallets are holding what. So a lot of times, what makes these NFT projects, and I'm talking about so there's different, right? Like, everything behind you is pretty much crypto art. For high art world, I don't know how to value any of these pieces, but what I do know how to value is degen type of stuff. So PFPs, CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, things like this. This is where you're going to make a lot of money. And we're in Dubai, so I feel like a lot of guys want to make money. And so what you can do is everything's transparent on blockchain, right? So I can go identify someone's wallet, like Alex Becker or Elio Trades. These guys if they talk about something, it's going to pump. But what you should be careful of, and I made this mistake as well, is just because someone's holding an NFT or has an NFT in their wallet doesn't mean that they actually minted it, purchased it, or wanted to acquire it. You can actually send NFTs to people's wallets or mint to their address, which means that it might, it's one of the ways that I thought I was getting ahead of the game by looking at someone's wallet and seeing that they recently have a new NFT in their wallet, they must have purchased it or are interested in that. That's not the case. Scammers will definitely drop NFTs into people's wallets in order to trick you into making you think that they think this thing is cool.
And you have to be very careful because if you interact with these NFTs that have been airdropped into your wallet, it might trigger a function inside of that smart contract to wipe your wallet, right? This has happened on OpenSea, especially
scary.
Polygon, which is very cheap to airdrop. You might find, hey, we got a new GIF for a JPEG in my wallet, and I burn it, send it, whatever, sell it. But at the end of that transaction, your whole wallet could be wiped out.
Yeah, just be careful navigating the space. It can be incredibly dangerous. You can lose a lot of money. Take your time, learn kind of what kind of scams are out there. The communities live in Discord as well. So whenever you have one of the things that you should really pay attention to when looking at NFTs, if you're looking at participating in these things, is really what the community is like, how active and engaged is the community. We can all throw bots in our community and look like it's very, very developed. Look for the ones that are organic, the ones that actually have a lot of excitement about going, and then also look at mechanics now too. So if you are interested in investing in NFTs, and are interested in making money from them, look at art doesn't have any. Art has very little to do with making money in NFTs. It really has to do with community and what kind of value people can derive from community. And also look at the roadmaps. This is very similar to 2017 and token models. We're seeing now roadmaps and what are they going to do in the future? And is there going to be a fungible token somehow associated with this non-fungible token? And like me, I have a CyberKong Genesis. There's 1,000 of them minted. I make $1,000 a day in passive income holding this stupid 8-bit.
You get a bunch of bananas.
Huh?
You get a bunch of bananas, right?
Yeah, I get 10 bananas a day. Which banana is a token. It's an ERC20 token, and a few days ago it was worth $120 a banana, and I was getting 10 of them a day for free. Well, not for free. I had to spend $80,000 on this 8-bit ape, but now it's worth about $550,000.
And it's these incentive structures, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing a mass exodus from fiat off ramps to continuously locking your capital into the system. And Elena, as a global VC, you're speaking to family offices. Are you able to explain, I guess, what we're doing now easier now that Burger King, Coca-Cola, they're coming out with their NFTs, wearables, et cetera?
Yes, of course. It's so my LPs are very technical guys, so they understand what the future is, and they're quite open to these opportunities. But if we speak with traditional capital, like real estate, it's very hard to just invest in these kind of things. But according to NFT art, like CryptoPunks, also Visa is one of the big collectors of artifacts and art, etc. So they bought this CryptoPunk, and when these deals are happening on the market, it's much more easier to involve like your VCs in this topic. So yeah, now we are investing more in this NFT marketplace of wearables. Yeah.
Yeah, wearables, DCL, Decentraland, Somnium space, where you can actually create your entire body. Decentraland has now made it so that anybody can go in, burn some mana, and create your own wearables. Before, you had to work with them directly. They were kind of working out the systems. They had fashion shows. People would show up. You'd walk the catwalk, really fun. But musicians too. Ed, you've been onboarding musicians. I'm a bit of a musician myself, and if I could have been in the studio and tokenized a riff and continually gotten paid for that over the years, that'd be great. I'd be making so much money. In the old world, with production studios, you'd have to almost copyright or patent that. So with RAIR, are you finding any easier to explain now that you've got Jay-Z, you've got a bunch of rappers, musicians moving into the space?
Yeah, the best thing that happened to RAIR is all this media attention on the art market and NFTs, because it really explained the narrative, and basically the consumer started realizing that you can prove ownership and that mechanism. We've had tokenization for years, and I would explain to people, we're going to tokenize this. They'd be like, I don't get it. But now with all the media and all the NFT sort of focus, they're understanding it. The other thing I want to throw in there is this community versus asset versus utility. These are three important buckets. Like if you look at the CryptoPunks and the Pudgy Penguins and the Bored Apes, they're actually creating unbelievable communities. And those community members, it's sort of like a carte blanche to brag and then receive future sort of things from that community. That's sort of one segment. Then you have like the pure art segment. I'm an artist, I'm going to do something really cool, and it's going to be a one of one. And then you've got this utility segment. And it's cool to see all those sort of intertwine and work with each other, but they're all very much NFTs, and they're all very much opportunities. So I think that's important to make note of.
Yeah, like artists like Blau, right? It sells out stadiums, festivals, people go specifically to see him. And now almost every track that he creates is an NFT, and all of his fans can own that. And moving forward, that's his model. He doesn't want to sell out to big studios anymore, production studios. He wants his community to be a part eternally. We're talking about technology that if we do this right, it's going to last until the end of time, or at least the heat death of the universe. And Elena, you're an astrophysicist by trade. When we talk about distributed documentation, especially, are you finding any kind of neural networks or anything new as you go through your research and your thesis on what the future is going to be of distributed networks and documentation?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So we're working on IPFS right now, right? The interplanetary file system. If you don't know about it, this network that anybody, spin up a daemon and a node, you can start pinning data to it. Are any of you finding, you're using IPFS, there's Filecoin. What's next in our distributed data? Anybody?
I don't know. I invested some really great decentralized storage solutions like Source Network. I couldn't tell you too much about it, to be honest with you. Permanent solutions like Arweave are really good as well. They're permanent solutions that are more decentralized and more permanently stored on blockchain, which is IPFS is kind of like this best we kind of have today solution. So, but I can't tell you much more than that.
Yeah, you're a powerhouse investor, man. Master Ventures. Is it hard to count how much money you've made over the years?
I don't know, but if anyone wants to make a bunch of money, come talk to me later.
Yeah, I ask this because you're helping, that you're ensuring that entrants get paid, especially through this DAO.
That's our slogan.
Yeah.
Get paid.
Yeah, get
paid. For paid network.
Through this DAO-esque launchpad. You make sure everything's legit. Can you tell us more about this process as we kind of walk off?
For what, vetting?
Yeah, vetting, everything that you would like to talk about.
Well, if you look at our portfolio, it's a lot of infrastructure. So I've always been, right now, what we're looking at right now is I'm 100, well, no. okay, with a few exceptions, I'm mostly into NFTs and games, and with exceptions of badass infrastructure. That's not a cuss word, right? I can say that here.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, because I got in trouble the other day for saying something worse. Yeah, there's infrastructure. I love infrastructure. So give me a layer 1, give me an interoperability solution, give me something that protects, alleviates issues with hacks or can recover money. Layer 2 solutions that are actually have a good user experience, like Immutable X, for example, is amazing. We look for good games with good in-game economics. But historically, we've always been into infrastructure. We have investments in Kraken, Coinbase, Circle, Abra, Bitfinex, Bitso, BitMEX, everything. So it's really because we're so nascent, right? We're all very, very, very new. If you go ask someone on the streets here who's not in crypto, if they know how to mint an NFT or even send money to somebody, they're going to be like, that is super complicated. So we're still not at a point where it can be mass adoption, and until the proper infrastructure is in place, we're not there yet. And so if you invest in that infrastructure, it's kind of hard to go wrong. And invest in teams. That's what we look for is teams. And NFTs is a bit easier because if you have the right NFTs and you're in the right communities, they do all the work for you.
Absolutely.
It's power of the crowd. It's hive mentality. So that makes my job really easy for NFTs. I don't have to know what high art is. I don't have to know anything about art. I just have to know what the crowd is into, and if you're into the right kind of communities and connect to the right kind of people, you know that if they're going to get involved in it, it's going to pump, and you can flip it. So we have strategy behind all this stuff. We go mint 5 or 10 NFTs, we sell some, recover our capital, and then let a few ride to see if they become blue chips in the future. We have some blue chips in our portfolio, and it's really easy when you're deeply embedded within the community. I spend 18 hours a day just grinding in communities, influencers, things like that to make sure that I always understand what's going on. And it makes it really, really easy when you really understand in depth what's going on. But it's my full-time job to do that.
Yeah, one of the most widely typed actions right now is an ! join, where you can authenticate your holdings with a bot and join an engaged community in a Discord or a Telegram. And as we walk off,
use collab, and then also use Collabland or something like that too.
Absolutely.
So there's another aspect to that join is then you can join a community, great, but then you need to verify that you actually own one of these NFTs in order to get access to the cool kid room.
Absolutely. And Ed, are you going to implement any of this stuff into RAIR moving forward with the NFTs that you're sprouting for your enterprises, musicians, artists?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a little different in that I don't think we're like the speculative NFT that Kyle's talking about. It's more so a utility NFT. But certainly I think it is important. And I think what's even more important for the people we deal with is that the minting and the metadata that we generate through our engines is spot on. Because at the end of the day, if you're a creator and you mint and you screw up the royalty contracts, you lose the money. Everybody thinks that NFTs, your royalties are etched in stone, but they're not. You need to be really careful the way you mint that contract. And right now, if you move something from one marketplace to OpenSea, for instance, and you sell it on OpenSea, they mint over your royalty and they take your royalty. Most people don't even know that. And that's why if you go buy a CryptoPunk, you go to OpenSea and then you get redirected to Larva Labs, which is CryptoPunk's marketplace. So it's important to note that the NFTs right now are more siloed to the marketplaces versus siloed and independent to the NFT itself. So if you're a creator, that's a big thing. And those are the things that we're really looking at, because at the end of the day, if we're giving you these tools, we want to make sure that we're ensuring that it's doing what it's going to do.
Yeah, and as we kind of reach the end of this, Elena, for Aster Ventures, any last remarks?
Yeah, what I wanted to say that I always say for my investors that investing in NFT investment is like alternative investments. So you shouldn't invest more than 10% of your portfolio. So yeah, because there are lots of risks right now according to security. OpenSea has lots of bugs and it's not like ideal machine, So yeah, we can try. We can just build a portfolio of NFT, but it should not be like more than 10%. So I think that it's high risk investments right now at the moment.
Yeah, we're here for a long time and a good time. So I hope you all have a great rest of your expo. And let's give a round of applause for our panelists. And an extra round of applause for our production company here, Olga especially. Let's bring her up. Thank you.
Quick set of questions, just a couple questions from the audience. Does anybody? I have a question, by the way. Can I ask a question? This is something that I think is usually addressed with lawyers. So maybe Nicole, you can just chime in. So the question is, what happens to your NFT token when an underlying asset, a piece of art or a piece of anything that or a banana, right? When it is destroyed, when someone eats a banana, what happens to your NFT token, basically?
Depends what the intended purpose of the destruction is. So when you have a project like, there's a token called Ashes, which is tied to a project called Pack, and you can actually mint tokens or get tokens by burning the NFTs, which creates a deflationary NFT supply, which makes that NFT collection more rare, which is good, and then you get tokens for doing it. You can also burn, the whole project is all about burning art or burning NFTs. So if you got a bunch of crap NFTs in your portfolio, you can actually go burn them, which I'm happy to do, because if someone just threw them in my wallet or something like that, and then I'll get some tokens from it and some little bit of value out of it. It really depends on what the purpose is. You can actually merge two NFTs to make a more rare one in a lot of examples. Or you can just mess up and send it to a 0 address and lose it forever. Or you can be like the guy who burned a CryptoPunk just because he felt like doing it, send it to a 0 address he did intentionally. It depends on what the intended purpose is. Hopefully there's an intended purpose and you don't just mess up doing it.
And shout out to performance artists worldwide. You actually have a digital venue now, like Pack. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat with some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's insane. You got a lot of hate for doing that, but also he's just like, you know, he's an artist. He's like, yeah, man, whatever. I'm just gonna burn some art. It's super cool. Like, Gary, guys got like a bunch of CryptoPunks.
Any other questions? Anyone? No? Yes? Yeah. Okay, come over. You have a question? Okay, come over.
Hi, Domenico Novella from Entourage Sports and Entertainment. We did many NFTs with sport athletes. And some actually they work very well, some they didn't, and it's difficult sometimes to understand why it works very well and they don't. But my question to you guys is, what do you think about NFT in sport? And do you think that one day, for example, a ticket, instead of being physical ticket, can be an NFT and can be used in sport and entertainment?
Yeah, let's get a show of hands. Who's been in a fantasy league? I mean, yeah? Yeah? So, I mean, you've been in there, you have a token, enter the fantasy league, right? All your players, you can have managed stats, et cetera. So, you know, in terms of sports, these leagues, right, they own the image, especially if they're pulling them out of college on the draft, especially kind of go to Gronkowski, right? He made his cards, you know, very famous all-timer, and he couldn't use any of the logos or NFL because of copyright and stuff. But he went out, he did it anyway, he was successful. I think that especially for individual athletes, you know, tennis players, fencers, you know, people who are, you know, out there alone, especially, this is perfect.
Yeah, and I think there's a distinction here. I mean, when you talk athletes, it's just like, it's so much more consumer oriented than like what Kyle was talking about, where you have crypto people really speculating on an NFT versus an athlete. And the real sort of crux there is that NFTs struggle with credit cards. And it's something we're working with. But at the end of the day, if you look at the payment rails that bring fiat to buy an NFT, it really changes everything. Because first off, you have to custody the NFT. So all of a sudden that's centralized. You have to be able to do chargebacks with the credit card company. So that's a headache. So it's like 99% of the world doesn't have crypto. And we're trying to feed them NFTs and trying to force them into something they really don't understand. So when we've been involved in a lot of these sports projects and a lot of the fandom sort of things, we're like, let's wait till the credit card thing gets resolved, because that's when. And again, that's a utility NFT. I mean, it's collectible, but it's not a tradable, like. I mean, it's not like Pudgy Penguins or CryptoPunks or those communities of crypto people that are evolving these NFTs.
We have another question here.
Hello, thank you very much. When you're looking at new NFT projects or more advice for people, what type of criteria would you look for in terms of due diligence? So I know you can look at the Discord, various other aspects, but if people that want to dig and find good new investments, do you have some advice maybe of
What kind of project?
Well, let's say some of the art NFTs.
What?
Let's say art NFTs.
Like a generative line, like a 10,000 mint, or are you talking about like a one of? Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, seeing your face is a good sign. That's a first thing. Making sure the team is not anonymous, or if they are, that they have a good proven track record. They're not going to rug pull. And then just seeing like if there's a viable roadmap and really like what the game theory is behind the NFT, because it's been proven that people don't really care what the art looks like. They really care more about the monetary and speculative aspect of it. If you're doing a generative line. And so I want to see like what's new, what's innovative, what kind of mechanics you have. Are you going to have a token attached to it? And really what kind of community have you garnered? And also, what's your plan? Are you doing this mint and then you're dropping out to your next one? Or are you going to build a community that has some type of value built within it where people are going to stick around and be part of it? And I like to see personally, like I would prefer to see sick art and an amazing community. Like my favorite project right now that I'm looking forward to is Jungle Freaks. Amazing community, family-ran business. Dad was the artist. We're doing Hustler magazine comics for 30 years with Larry Flint. Like epic art, epic community, epic founders. Like that's the best.
And that's what this means is that anybody, really, I mean, if your legacy, think of like Jose Delbo, right? Came out on the scene. Did a lot of DC comics. He did a lot of Marvel characters, and now his grandson is carrying the torch with something called Satoshiverse. I mean, this is something that we can all be involved in, that we can all be a part of. But it's more or less these legacy people who can also come in now with this technology, as it's readily available with networks like RAIR and other places that we've built and grown.
And one thing too, I think it's important to mention too, is like even though a lot of us think about NFTs as art, it's a completely different type of interest. You know, we're talking about a new generation that a lot of us can't fathom, right? Where the people who are running this are the ones who value how they look in game or in metaverse more than they value how they look here physically in present, right? So it took me a while to wrap my head around what the hell was going on, but it is widely different, and we should be looking to the children, the upcoming youth, as to where we're headed, and pay attention to that. So this is why I typically have no desire to learn about high art, because it's becoming less relevant, right? A Fidenza, an art blocks curated, is now considered high art. That's algorithmically generated, stored on blockchain, can be restored anywhere in the world. Doesn't even rely on IPFS. It's actually coded in the blockchain where there's no physical representation or drawing of an art anywhere. It's all based on code and randomly generated code at that through an algorithm. This is what people consider high art today, and this is where we're moving in the future. So I just wanted to kind of like drop that because it wasn't said, but it's something that I wanted to just kind of throw out there because it took me a while to wrap my head around this as well.
I think we'll go one more question. Okay.
Yeah, hi. My question is for Ed. You talked about royalties. So how does an artist who's minting an NFT on a platform with a royalty built in, how does that artist mitigate the risk of the royalty being written over if he or she sells it across marketplaces?
Or just even peer-to-peer.
Or peer-to-peer, yeah.
Well, I think it's all about the marketplace that you actually finally sell the piece on. So Rarible and OpenSea are doing this. They're taking the royalties out. So you got to be careful that you can show it on OpenSea. So we have a metadata engine that actually scribes or scripts the metadata in a way that OpenSea picks it up. But then in that metadata engine, we also have something that prevents OpenSea from actually selling that piece. And what happens then is there's a link, and it goes back to your own website or marketplace where you control the royalties and nobody steps on it. This is all changing. Ethereum has a proposal in place that's going to fix this, but right now it's like the Wild West. And I think OpenSea's made a ton of money, a ton, because you just basically lose your whole royalty stream. Our royalties and our minting engine, we put everything on chain. We think that's really important. We have 4 different buckets of royalties, and then we can sub them out if we need to, but you can carve that on chain and describe who gets what, which is really helpful for these like Hollywood productions and multi-agent sort of productions. It's all on chain, it's all verifiable, there's no Hollywood accounting. It's all there for you to trust.
Thank you so much. Well, we have to make a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you,
you,
guys. Thank you so much.